What's going on, guys? It's me, SpeedSuperSonic, bringing you guys another video. In this video today, we are talking about something very interesting. I put out a poll yesterday that asked if you guys wanted to hear me talk about today's topic, and it was an overwhelming yes, so we're going to talk about today, and as it says in the title and thumbnail, this is a rumor, and take this with a big grain of salt. And now, why am I saying a big grain of salt? Well, it sounded like I said big grain of salt. Like, Ow. Well, today's bit of news comes from We Got This Covered. Now, let me talk about We Got This Covered. This is a news site for media such as movies, TV shows, stuff like that. But here's the thing about We Got This Covered. It's not a very reputable website. They put out some BS articles, fake news, and also biased opinionated articles, but I'm not trying to smash their website. I'm just saying I don't really trust it all that much. But the source that they have says that news that they've broke, such as a Scream reboot and news on Matrix 4, are true, so this could be true as well. And yes, those things were later proven to be true. So what are we talking about? Well, you already know what we're talking about, the idea of a Sonic movie trilogy and also a Robotnik spinoff. Now, the biggest thing I guess you're thinking is oh, Robotnik spinoff. That's probably what's going through your head is what? Okay, that's interesting. Because trilogies are so commonplace in Hollywood, that's kind of what you go towards, when you think about a movie franchise. Of course, indie films, Good Time, those kind of really good movies, usually don't get sequels. But of course, when you watch the first Iron Man, you're like, oh, there's gonna be a sequel to this. I'd say Sonic is in that same ballpark as Iron Man. I doubt anybody knows what Good Time is. Tell me if you know what Good Time is in the comments. It's one of my favorite movies. Please tell me. So, a Sonic movie trilogy and also a Robotnik spinoff, and this is interesting, but also kind of a no-brainer. So obviously, the first movie of Sonic the Hedgehog will be the first film in this trilogy. And of course, every studio basically wants a trilogy, and why? Well, money. Everybody wants money, everybody wants success, and everybody wants their franchise to be very successful. Specifically with Paramount. They've had a studio restructuring as of recent, and Sonic's been involved in that. They've been trying to make a lot of branded films using already established IPs, such as Power Rangers, Transformers, what else do they have? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The SpongeBob is even in that category. So, here's how it works with SpongeBob, real fast. So, SpongeBob is owned by Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon is owned by Viacom. Viacom also owns Paramount Pictures. So all of them together make this giant thing that makes the SpongeBob movie. Very complicated, not really, but kinda. They have a lot of IPs, but it hasn't always gone well for them, but they've started making smaller budget films around those IPs, such as Bumblebee that came out a few years back, which was actually probably the best Transformers related movie. It wasn't a masterpiece, but it was still a pretty good movie. Paramount needs IPs. Paramount needs trilogies, and Sonic is a well-established franchise / IP, so they're going to try to bank in on this. The film had a budget of $95 million, which is not cheap. That's not a small budget. It's not in the triple digits. It was originally $90. But the $5 million came from the redesign, which cost the studio a lot of money, so in the grand scheme of things, $5 million isn't that much. Back when this movie was first announced in 2014, I discussed that they want to make a movie every year, and I've discussed this before, and that's just not gonna happen. Most of the time, you can't make a movie that fast with the same crew. If there was a sequel coming out next year, 2021, we'd already know by now, and they'd start filming in the summer, and post-production, and all that stuff would happen after. So there's not gonna be a film every year, but I could definitely see a film coming in 2022, if this film does really well, or 2023. Do you guys be horribly mad if I peed right now?
2 hours later.
Alright, I'm back. I've actually peed in the middle of videos too many times. It's not okay. Now, while this is supposedly being talked about at Paramount and being planned at Paramount, I'm pretty sure they didn't go into the Sonic the Hedgehog movie franchise with the idea of a trilogy and spin-off films. Main reason for that is they don't know that this is going to be a success. This Sonic movie is a risky film. They're not guaranteed to even make their money back. This could be a giant risk. I'm pretty sure that the movie will make more than $95 million at the box office. I guarantee you that it will. But But whether it will be a hit or not, we'll have to wait and see. I'm pretty sure that the writers and Jeff Fowler have ideas of what they could do with the sequel, characters they could introduce, but whether that's a surefire go is still up in the air. Let's be clear here, unless this film does well at the box office, it's not getting a sequel. It needs to make money in order to have sequels. And the idea of a trilogy, just 3 films, is also kind of because if the third one makes a bunch of money as well, why wouldn't you want to make a 4th one? I mean, there are like, what, 5 Transformers movies, a Bumblebee spinoff, and I think they're planning even more. Like, why wouldn't you want to make even more if, like, the franchise does really well? And the idea of a Robotnik spinoff, I could definitely see happening, but also, that's a bigger risk than Sonic, honestly. That'd have to be, like, almost micro budget, like, almost. I'm not saying micro budget, but I'm saying, like, a very small budget, because having an entire Hollywood film based around the antagonist to Sonic the Hedgehog, that's very risky. I guess it's around the same level as Bumblebee, but those Transformers movies made billions of dollars overseas, and I don't think Sonic will be making billions of dollars in China and stuff like that. If the Sonic movie makes over $1 billion, I swear to you all, I will dye my hair blue, I will dress up in a Sonic costume for the rest of my videos, I will cut the butt off, and I will walk around with my butt cheeks hanging out. It's very graphic. I don't see the movie making $1 billion, but I guess we'll see. It comes out on a good opening day weekend. It comes out on Valentine's Day, and there's no competition. Sure, there's like one movie before it, but you know. It's also a rated R movie, so it's not a family film. That's like something you go see on like girls' night, you know. Also, Jim Carrey is like an issue here. Jim Carrey isn't known for doing a lot of like sequels. Obviously Dumb and Dumber 2, but yeah, that was bad. But whether Jim Carrey will want to come back for like 2, 3, a spin-off, now that's a lot of movies, and honestly, if they even make a sequel and they don't get Jim Carrey, I'm kind of interested in what they're going to do. There's this lizard being rumored to be a villain. Maybe that's a backup plan so there could be a bigger villain than Eggman in the universe. There are a couple new characters. I think like Long Claw the Owl, like this like concept art right here, is a planned character. So they're introducing like new types of characters, and that's interesting. And I'm sure they could create new antagonists or bring different types of antagonists from the Sonic universe over. Of course they want to make sequels and spin-offs and make a boatload of money off of this, because if they're putting money in, they're gonna want to make money back. There's no way in hell that there is not the idea of Sonic the Hedgehog sequels in their heads, Paramount's heads. They saw the reaction to the first trailer. They knew what was gonna happen with the second trailer, and the marketing campaign is really big. There's a lot of marketing overseas, so it seems like they're diving into all of those other markets, so they could really like pump this thing up, make it seem like a big deal, and get people overseas who don't really know that much about Sonic to come to the movie. But I did think that this video was a good opportunity for me to talk about what I would like to see in a Sonic movie trilogy. Now, we'll be making a more coherent version of this little sum up, but I just thought I'd get some of my ideas out there. I know it's a lot of what people would want to see, and a lot of the go-to answer is, oh, bring in Tails or bring in these other characters, but I think we should go a little slower. Yes, I do think you should bring in Tails and Knuckles, but like that's it. I've heard people say, bring in Tails and Knuckles and Shadow and Amy and Metal Sonic, and like, yo, pump the brakes, guys. There is such thing as convoluting a movie, and bringing in all of those characters and establishing their backgrounds would not make for an hour and a half time. That would like, simply setting them up would probably take that much time. But I do think there's possibility for setting up Knuckles in this first movie. I really do, if these are in fact echidnas. But if they are not echidnas, then I don't really see that happening as much. I think that the go-to person to bring in first would be Tails, because if you know Sonic, chances are you also know Tails. A lot of people don't even know who Amy is or Shadow is, to be quite frank. But a lot of people do know Tails. A lot of people also know Knuckles. Those were the first 3 characters established, so a lot of more people know about them. So if I were to bring in 2 characters, it would be Tails and Knuckles. I would prefer for Eggman to be an overarching villain and come up with a new way to bring down Sonic, and I do think that it should take place in Sonic's world, but if they do have to come back to Earth somehow, I think they could do something interesting interesting with it. It looks like Sonic will be going to multiple different locations and it won't all be in like San Francisco and stuff like that. So that's interesting. There are plenty of places that this story can take place, and there's plenty of background and plot I'm sure that they'll pull from. They're not going to adapt any game stories or anything like that. It's just not going to happen. And if it does, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I think that the third movie would be a really good opportunity to introduce either Metal Sonic or Shadow. A nice, competent antagonist to Sonic. Do I see Shadow? Maybe, but honestly I think that Metal Sonic would be a more likely option, potentially. I don't know, I just think that's more consumer friendly in a way, honestly. But you never know, Shadow could work, and I could see it, because Shadow is a very well-known and very liked character in the universe, and the people working on this movie are Sonic fans, and Blur even worked on Shadow the Hedgehog, so maybe there's something Tim Miller would like to do, and Jeff Fowler would like to do with Shadow. Of course, the studio has to greenlight the ideas and stuff like that, but you know, we'll see. And for a Robotnik spinoff, I think that could be really cool. Jim Carrey does have a lot of star power, and it could just be seen as another wacky Jim Carrey comedy. Imagine like a really funny Sonic movie starring Jim Carrey. That could be really cool. Anyways, there's so many ideas and possibilities for this Sonic the Hedgehog movie franchise. I'm not gonna call it a cinematic universe. A cinematic universe is like a bunch of different franchises living in like the same world. So if you were to put Sonic and Mario and like Pac-Man in like the same world, then that's a cinematic universe, but it's all Sonic, so it's more of just a franchise. Anyways, I do think this is a very strong possibility. We Got This Covered said that this is a source that told them this. This isn't just them saying, oh, there could be sequels, because like, no duh. If they make money, they're gonna make a sequel. It's the no-brainer, it's just how Hollywood works. But I'm totally down for it, and I'm sure most of you are too. Of course, I hope that you guys like the movie, and I hope I like the movie, and we don't just, you know, have really bad Sonic stuff that makes a lot of money coming out, even though I will still support it, because I'm a silly man. But anyways, let me know what you guys think of this Sonic the Hedgehog movie franchise. Let me know in the comment section down below. Just let me know what you think, and also what you would do with sequels. I really want to know your ideas. I always will look at them and maybe even say, yo, that's really cool, because a lot of you guys come up with some really good ideas for stuff. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. I will see you guys in the next one.